Within the Rep, episode 7. We've had a couple shots at this. We've had a little back end chats behind the scenes trying to get this going here, but here we are. I got my man Leland DeVaughn in the house. We're going to talk a little bit about training, what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a coach, what it means to be a father. So we're going to get into that here. I'll let Leland have the honor of introducing himself. We've done it a couple times here before, but we're going to do it proper here now. So let's get going.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Farron. Yeah, so I'm Leland DeVaughn Jr. I am born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Reside now in Dallas, Texas. Been here for about 7 years now in this summer. I'm an Army Infantry combat veteran, served in OEF 2011 in Afghanistan and Host Province. And father of a 15-year-old this coming Friday. So we definitely have a variety of experience in that regard. I began coaching actually at the ripe age of 17 as I was graduating that year. 2007, 2008. From there, I've been doing this alongside my time in service, alongside my time pursuing college football, professional football, semi-pro and beyond. So coaching now for going on year, 18, I believe, if the math is right. So a lot of experience. IFBB Pro, for those of you that are interested. I did 4 shows before I turned pro in the amateur level in NPC. Won an overall twice, one as a welterweight, one as a light heavyweight. A couple years off there, and then did Classic Physique as my debut, and went back into 212. No finishes outside the top 10 except for once in my pro career, and then I retired this year after doing New York Pro in May. So it's a quick shot of who I am and what I've done so far. We'll dive into here.
Man works hard. Man does a lot. No slowing down.
No, absolutely not.
Let's pull it back to the starting point. Like, what was your childhood? Like, what was your childhood growing up? What made you influence you to get into the services and move that direction?
Yeah, great question, man. I actually just wrote about a bit of that last night on Threads about my upbringing, because a lot of folks don't know a lot about me. There's a reason why they don't, but then I also had to get out of that shell. So growing up in Cincinnati, if you guys ever seen the show First 48, where they go and you have crimes and murders that need to be solved in the first 48 hours. Well, my city was on there quite often. It's not the only part of my city, but that's an easy way to tell folks, hey, my life was tough. My mom raised me and my sister. My dad was in my life, but my mom raised my sister, and she did an amazing job. With that, though, became a responsibility early. I was, nicknamed man, and that came with a responsibility that I wasn't equipped for as an 11, 12, 13-year-old adolescent child, which I wrote about in my first book 4 years ago that I published called Growing Up Black, a fight against culture in the world, where I depict a little bit of that story. So I saw a lot of issues. I saw one of my best friends get killed in my backyard. I watched it happen out my window. It's crazy. I've had other folks that I've seen, be harmed, unfortunately. Gang life was a part of their life. But I was in school. I love my grades. I love sports. So that kept me grounded. At the young age of 4 years old, I had a dream that I told my mom. I said, I'm going to get us an NFL and get us out of the hood. And she wrote that on there on my red Nike cleats that she still has to this day from 4 years old about that dream. So it never left me. But that was one of the reasons why I was able to at least push through high school and beyond, because I still wanted that dream to come true amidst all of the chaos that I grew up in terms of just seeing things, having to take on the responsibility of being a young man and a Black man in an environment that was very troublesome. Again, a lot of the audience really won't know me, but at the age of 13, on 14, my freshman year of high school, I was sitting in front of a judge for a felony at 13 years old, facing a 5-year juvie sentence. And I ended up with a year probation and counseling, offset the next 4 years unless I got in any trouble, which I would have served those years behind bars the rest of my time in high school, all for something that I didn't know was a crime and was not doing anything wrong. And letter of the law, wrong place, wrong time, and it happened that way, man. So that plagued me. That made me shut off the world. That made me dislike people. I no longer trusted folks because the people that let me down had me in the courtroom and did show up for me as well, outside of my mom and my family. So that took a spin that made me a very heavily introverted person, very. So you could tell, or you could see how if you get faced with a sentence like that or any kind of detriment at that age, how you could just not want to do nothing other than ignore people and set the world on fire, so to speak. So that dream that I had at 4 years old of making it to the NFL, getting out of the hood, I felt was crushed right there my freshman year, because it took away my freshman year of football, because I was either at probation, leaving school early to go to my probation officer, or missing
Mhm.
the first part of school on some Thursdays to go to therapy and counseling. So for that entire semester, I couldn't play football, obviously, and I finished that year with a 2.7 GPA. Now, you might hear that and be like, "Oh, that's awesome." That's not the standard. So, and I knew I was better than that. But that story moved forward to when I graduated high school. I graduated high school at the top of my class, fourth in my class to be exact. But that's also when I found coaching. What I realized is there was a very lack of information and education on health and fitness in the Black community. And we use things like, oh, we love seasoned foods and, it runs in my family, big genes, big bones, you name it. You name it. Any
Mhm.
excuse to cook food. I like calling the USA the United States of barbecue. Well, in Black culture, we barbecue and we grill and fry everything. So when I'm seeing this disconnect as someone who was never out of shape or overweight, I'm like, no, this
Mhm.
has to be an easier way and a better way. So my very
Mhm.
first client, I was actually still in high school, and it was a lady. Her name's Amanda. And I wish back in that day we took photos and documented things, but we just didn't. It wasn't a thing in 2007. But I worked with her for free for 9 months for 100-pound weight loss. And it was amazing. And I didn't know nothing other than, hey, we're going to move, exercise. I was still learning. I was still doing the training certification was on paper. It was old. So I was still learning and just how to navigate this process. But working with her for 9 months to get 100 pounds down was awesome. And it gave me more conviction to go forward with this. And then I went on to play college football, and I was going to pursue athletic training until I realized there's no money in athletic training unless someone dies and you get promoted. So that's what got me into coaching in 2007. Just seeing a very open my eye issue in our community. And then how can I continue to serve others to make sure that they don't succumb to the death of, poor excuses and things like that. And that drove me in my entirety of me coaching my coaching career. And I never forget that very first client.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a challenging way to grow up. Being labeled or called, man, or that's kind of the term, the standard set for you when you're supposed to be a kid.
Mm.
Did that feel that take away from your childhood at all? Put pressure on you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as a grown man, what is a man? So I remember my oldest son. My oldest son, he just turned 20. He's just from my previous marriage. I met his mom, and she already had children. And I still love him to death, and I, raised him. He asked me a year ago. He said, as he got ready to turn 19 last year, he said, "Dad, what's the easiest thing about being a man and an adult?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "No one's looking for you. No one's gonna be checking for you if you don't get up as a man." So imagine being named man, and then 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 15. And then you got school, you got cliques, football, basketball, and I'm an introvert. People want to pick. I'm not a big guy, so I was like 100 and some pounds. So it's all these things, but I have this anger inside of me as well too.
Mhm.
So with that as well, is like I got to defend myself, got to defend the home. You know,
Mhm.
my mom had an ex-husband who was trying to harm her. What am I going to do? I'm man. This is my house. Like, so all of those things make you a very, very protective person where you don't have it up here though. You don't
Mhm.
have the ability to negotiate those relationships to say this is not cool. You just see red and you go because that's mom, that's my sister. I remember we had a sexual predator. It's crazy I'm even saying it right now. We had a sexual predator who was stalking my mom and my sister, like looking into our home from below where his apartment was adjacent to our house. And when I finally caught him, I chased him down the street and I almost like destroyed this guy before he made it to his place. We see him in court, and now he's in court in a wheelchair and like limping as if like, oh, he has a medical issue. Like, no, just be glad I get my hands on him. Like I was hot. Like I was pissed,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's my family. Like those are my people.
Mhm.
Then I have stories of seeing my aunt, I was going home with school one day, speaking from school, and my aunt was getting chased and harassed by her ex-husband trying to beat her with a log. I'm like, I'm seeing this is shaping me. I'm like, so being late named man plus having gang life exposure, clicks, and just people not wanting to like just leave me alone because he looks different. Like it's a whole lot to deal with when trying to be this kid that's want to mind his own business. That's it. You gotta kind of like defend yourself or get taken advantage of, and
Mhm.
there's only one way out. It's either in the streets is either kill or be killed. Like
Mhm.
figuratively and literally for some. So you have to like hold your own, no matter how big or small you are. So I wrote that in my book, and before I published the book, I called my mom on the phone and read it to her. And I just wanted to read it to her before I published it because inside of that short synopsis was how I had to live through this lens that one, she called me man. So I had to grow up in a community that the streets expected me to be super, super, super tough. Moms labeled me man. But then this judge called me a delinquent and a threat to society because I was black and I had a felony, right? So it's all these things going on. It's like, okay, can I just be a kid?
Mhm.
Can I be a kid? So it made it very, very challenging. I kept a lot of that inside me, just that fire, which led me to it built a lot. It let me like accomplish a lot. But when you become a father and a husband, it's like that stuff's exhausting. And then it took me to probably like mid to late 20s actually to finally start letting that childhood go.
Did you have any role models growing up?
Yeah, I did. I had a few. My dad was a role model for me. I'm not gonna say that he wasn't. My dad was great. He was a role model for me. But I also had my coaches, my sports, especially my high school coaches. But around the city, like when I tell you football was my passion, before I had this covered up, it was a football on my arm until I had this covered. On my very first tattoo. Around the city, my nickname was Joe Rock because I had these huge biceps. This small little kid with these huge biceps, right? And I was carrying the ball everywhere I went. So when I played ball, people knew who I was. My coaches poured them into me. Literally, if I moved teams, my players would move teams to wherever I moved to. Like there was a fire inside of me, and my coaches, especially the men in my life, they made sure that they were there for me. They were there for my mom, if I couldn't make it or something, or if she couldn't make it rather, they just made sure that I was protected, and they made sure that, they had my back, and I was studious. I was hungry for education and information and guidance and leadership. Great high school coaches, the latter into high school, were great models for me. I mean, they were two, again, working men, obviously not just in the school, but great coaches, great father figures. We still talk to this day, and I was one of the few, even in my graduating class, that they just knew like you're special. So when I was going on my recruiting trail, like the knowledge here is what led me to different schools in terms of recruitment because I just consumed so much information. But it's because of my mentors; they really just kept reminding me, man, the stature didn't mean nothing. My heart was big, my leadership was big, whether it be vocal or not. And they never gave up on me. So see, since they didn't give up on me and my mom poured into me so much, it was a lot easier. But I had to also have to learn through bad examples too, whether it be her ex-husbands, men in the neighborhood, and you see, okay, how do I not do those things? So, but to try to pick that up as a young man, as a young teenager that's a lot to put on my shoulders. But God willing, he did. And I was able to go through it. But unlearning that was the exhausting part of like a late 20, early 30-year-old. That was a lot of weight to remove off my shoulders. But I look back at it now, it's like I'm thankful for it because now my son doesn't have to go through that. But it shaped me a lot. But I realized if I held on to it so much, I would continue to not look forward and look back on it. So I know it's there, but it no longer defines me as it used to. I used to accomplish goals so that way folks wouldn't even know the shit I'm telling you right now. Like me 6, 7 years ago would never be saying all that. I say a snippet, right? That's about
Mhm.
it. But I was always chasing goals so that way folks didn't know that I had a felony or that didn't know that I had times at home where the electric wasn't on, water wasn't running, or that we had to live in shelter at times. Like I'm going to keep accomplishing so many goals and degrees and you're not going to know about none of that. When I realize it's authentic, that's my story. It doesn't break
Yeah.
me, but it's a part of who I am.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, that's you, man. Like, you should never be ashamed of your story, no matter what you've been through, you know? That
Mhm.
shapes you, that shapes who you are. And I think people deserve to hear that, you know? That's what this world
Yeah.
is built on, story sharing, us learning, us growing, it doesn't matter what you've been through. Someone can always learn from that. And, some of us didn't benefit from that. It would have been great to hear some of the things and not have to learn the hard way, right? So
Mhm.
when did you first realize you were wired differently and you weren't gonna settle for average? I mean,
Yeah.
you sure stepped up and like fucking breached where you came from, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, man. I think one of the first instances where I realized like that I'm not going to be defeated was the court case. I could have got 5 years. I would have literally been in jail from 13 to 18 years old, bro.
Mhm.
High school would have been over right there. That was it.
Mhm.
I could have folded. I could have folded after I only got a 2.7 GPA my freshman year because I missed school, right? And my football dream I felt was already snatched before I got started. And I could have folded then. Now, even though I didn't start talking to a lot of people, so even my close friends, they don't even know the full story. They don't know the story. A lot of them start learning I had a felony maybe 3, 4 years ago. I didn't tell anybody about this. To my close friends in high school, they didn't have no idea.
Mhm.
But I could have folded then, but because I stayed in sports and I knew that educationally, academically, what the standards were at home and who and what I was capable of, I'm like, no, I'm gonna be silent. I'm probably gonna be mad, gonna call me anal, whatever. But I'm just going to all I knew, the judge said, if you get in any more trouble, you're going to finish it in jail. And that was the only thing that kept me from not really like blowing up at times. And if I did blow up, it was internal. So because I didn't fold then, because I still persevered, because I still was able to get my football playing time and then accumulate offers, regardless of my stature and more so because of my mental and my character, that showed me that even when the odds are really literally stacked against me, because I had a gun held to me at 15 years old. Told the guy, so you got to kill me. Like, you gonna have to shoot me dead right here. I'm not moving, right? And nothing happened. I could have, in so many ways, I'm not supposed to be able to be talking to you right now. So many ways. Forget even the combat part. Forget me literally almost dying Labor Day 2011. Like, way before then, I shouldn't have been here. I should have been locked up. I should have been dead. I should have had a terrible job. Like, a lot of these things could happen to me. But every time I broke the odds, because the statistic in most, because almost over 70% of Black men grow up in single parent homes, and most of those men don't make it anyway. So there's a whole lot that's already against me. It's like you live in a world with two strikes, and then you try not to get strike three because it's over. So when I knew that at that point that I didn't fold, every time I ran into something, I'm like, things could be worse. And I remember that recruiter who was willing to go down to the courthouse when I turned 18 to get that record expunged and sealed to make sure I can join the United States Army and go about my way so I can start a path for myself. I knew again that I'm favored because he didn't have to do that, but it was another, United States Army soldier, black non-commissioned officer was like, look, we're going to get it taken care of. I love your drive. Let's get you out of here. And I was trying to leave the next day. Couldn't leave that quick, but I was adamant. I was like, if I stay here any longer, I'm going to be lazy. I just knew me standing around in Cincinnati was not going to be good for me no matter what. I'd already broke it. And once you break it, you can't go back. Like, you can't go back and stay in that. You have to continue moving forward. Otherwise, you get caught up.
Mhm.
So for him to go do that for me, continue to show me like I am favored, and I had to continue to persevere. And every time I, have my back against the wall, which we'll probably get into a little bit later, I never forgot what I went through from, birth essentially, but from when I can remember, 4 years old and beyond.
So let's talk a little bit about your time in the army then.
Mhm.
How was that for you?
Man, my time in service, bro. So obviously, like I said, I'm infantry. We like
Mhm.
to say that's the only job in the army. Everybody else is support. We are literally, the queen of battle. And I had liaisons at our MEPS office. MEPS is where you go to swear in and get your medicals done before you ship out to your training. Who
Yeah.
he kept trying to convince me and pay me financially to switch job choices. She tried and tried. He tried to offer me 40, 50K. I'm like, bro, I'm from the hood. Money ain't gonna move me. Like, well, you don't get a lot of money. You don't get much money if you take an infantry. I'm like, listen, man, I don't care. And it was so annoying that my recruiter was like, bro, just give the man the job that he wants. And he was also infantry too. He's like, he already knows what he wants. My ASVAB score was out of this world. So I wasn't stupid. That's the thing. People think infantrymen are stupid. We have some of the highest GT scores, which is our technical score. Some of the highest. My
Mhm.
ASVAB, I didn't even finish it, and I still got one of the top percentiles on it. Like, I'm not stupid. So it's like, dude, I know I want this job. I know it's dangerous. I'm not worried about being safe. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, the inner city. I don't care. Get me out of
Mhm.
here. So finally settled on that. I ended up going to OSIT training, which is one station unit training in Fort Bliss. I'm not Fort Bliss. Why did I say that? Fort Benning. Fort Bliss is my first duty station. Fort Benning in 2009, February 2009, and went there and spent my 14 weeks of just learning how to be a lean, mean fighting machine. We just literally learned, you just drill it into you on what it means to be a soldier in the United States Army, what it means to defend the Constitution, what it means to make sure that the enemy is eliminated, no matter what. Shoot, move, communicate, kill. That was the four. That's it. So when you're wired that way and they unwire you from your upbringing, you only know whatever they tell you. You silence the noise. You are a trained soldier, almost a robot to a degree. And it was amazing. It was fine because I was already an introvert. Like, I'm not there to shake hands with anybody. I'm not there to be buddy buddy with my entire platoon. No, I am there to continue moving away from what I grew up in. And my dad served too, so that kind of helped. He didn't serve in infantry, but he served, and I knew at least that much, that he served and whatnot. So that's not why I joined, but it was at least, being able to do something that he and I did, together. in that regard. But me choosing infantry, I signed up because I wanted to go to war. I'm like, look, kill or be killed. I was still wired that way. It's crazy. Like, you make it out of it, but that's all you know. So here I am, picking a job that literally is designed for me to go lay down lead if I have to against somebody in front of me. But that's not all what we do, though. And that's the thing people think, like, that's not all we do. There's business development, personal development, professional development. There's classes, school, leadership, and all. And there's camaraderie, fellowship, and all those things, man. So when you go to a unit, you get to just start seeing people from around the world that are different. And you have a lot of different testosterones and backgrounds, it's a locker room times a million. So it was nothing different, but it's like, we're all grown young men now that think we're grown because we're 19 with dog tags on our neck. Like, look, dude, you're just a baby here, but you go with a sense of bravado because it's the United States Armed Forces, right? So you carry that weight. I did a video the other day about the whole ICE thing here. I still hold that oath to my heart. If I had to right now, I'd go line up with my country right now and do so if I needed to. Like, that's how important that was to me. Because those colors, I bleed them through and through. And so serving, man, it brought a lot of challenging. I served at 19 years old. I became a leader before I was 21. A leader of men 30 years old, 40 years old, a leader of men some men had not developed mentally enough, weren't equipped emotionally. It's all kind of stuff you deal with. I'm not even 21 by the time I became a leader. And I lost some people to suicide. And we lost a lieutenant downrange as well too, but I lost two people to suicide. One was a brand new father. And here I am trying to tell his mother and his ex-wife and give them his colors and his flowers. And I'm like, I'm just a kid too. I was 21. Well, literally just my son was just only like 10 months old. And here I am, having to do, this with a family who just lost their child. So it makes you grow up very, very quickly. I ate up leadership courses. If anyone's watching this knows, I was a NCO of the month and NCO of the quarter as a corporal, which is unheard of. NCOs go from corporal to all the way up to your command sergeant major. So from an E4 to E9. So they have eons of experience above me. Not all get submitted. You usually go from like your promotable to maybe like an E7 or so that'll go and do these things. But because my PT score and my studying and my presentation, I was able to win not only just a month, but then the quarter as well too for an entire brigade. Again, I was just hungry. My goal was to climb leadership as much as I can. And one of the things in infantry is that we want to make 7 and 7. So that's making our E7 in 7 years or less, which unfortunately is doable because people either get promoted or die. That's the name of the game. So depending on your unit, you get promoted based on your skill level, your ability to retain information and lead, or someone moves out or gets, TDS, or unfortunately they die and there's a spot that needs to be filled. But with that, though, it comes a great honor and level of respect. I mean, I accumulated 2 degrees inside of my time of service. I was air assault certified. I did do a small drop in combat, but I did air assault, which was amazing at Fort Bliss. It was my first duty station. EIB, which is expert infantry badge, which is literally exhausting as hell. Breaking down firearms blindly, in timely manners, and then doing land nav. No, I'm from the city, bro. I'm doing no damn land nav. It's like, what is this? So like all of these things you're learning, man, it's like I'm rappelling out of helicopters. I'm learning logistics up here, tying cargoes and reading maps with just a grid cord and like no tech. It's just like, so you learning all this stuff. I'm out there walking in the damn water with alligators in Fort Benning, Georgia. Like, I had no idea the water's to my neck. I'm only 5'6". Like, it was crazy. It's crazy. Like, this is in training. Like, there's no barriers to help keep me alive. There's a river and I might float down the damn thing. It was crazy. And you're like, yo, I'm in the real world now. And I have to survive. Again, a dog eat dog world, but I thrust myself into it and I'm a better man because of it, because what you develop is why my business is the way it is too. A lot of the things my business root off of come from my upbringing, they come from my time in service, and come from me outside of as well too in my faith. So it's all intertwined. That's why people get the candid banter and the even when check-ins, I do those things because my time in service was listening for feedback to, prove myself, and then wanting to make sure that people were able to follow me. I tell you this, it's funny. When I I deployed late because I had a medical thing that we're taking care of for my foot. So I had to miss 6 months of deployment. So I get down range to my unit. My very first intro to them, I was like, hey, I'm Private DeVaughn. I'm here to take one of you guys' job and get you guys home safe. That was it. That was my welcome to the team. That's all I said. And sure enough, a month later, I got promoted to E4, team leader. Before we got back, promoted again. It's out and about business. Like that's just who I was my time in service, man.
Hmm. So you deployed to Afghanistan?
Northeast, about a couple miles from the border of Pakistan, which is a place you don't want to be.
How long were you there for?
6 months because I've
Mm,
deployed late, so 6 months, man, and it was one of the most successful time in OEF 11 at the time. Uh, but being at the border of Pakistan, being in the United States Army uniform, it's not a place you want to be.
hmm. Was it primarily spent in camp, or you guys have lots of routines and stuff daily?
You talking about in combat?
Yeah.
Oh man, listen, so we were light. So you have mech units in the military, which have vehicles and whatnot. Now we will have
Hmm.
vehicles too, but we're light, so we walked everywhere unless we had somewhere to go to in a vehicle. If we weren't patrolling, you're pulling tower guard on a 4-hour shift with the ANA support, which is the Afghan National Army. So if you're not on patrol, if you're not out on a long-term mission, you're somewhere back at the COP. A COP is a combat outpost. We have a
Hmm.
FOB, which is a forward operation base, which is the bigger place for most folks that aren't infantry or aren't attached to infantry unit. They're at the fob mostly, where they have nice beds and nice cool Wi-Fi or internet
Hmm.
setup, nice food halls and all the things. At a cop, you get a little bit of that. Showers with frogs in them. My bed had mice under it. My bed was actually inside of the mess hall, so it wasn't even a nice space. Terrible internet, to like we had to Ethernet cord for our Xboxes to play each other.
Yeah.
Like that's how bad it was, bro. But we loved it. We loved it. Like
Hmm.
we made it our own, man. It's not entertainment there. We would try to get on. That's when Skype was still in. When
Yeah.
Skype calls to our family sometime when we had the time to do so, and then just going out praying that we don't get set up by our own support or that we just don't get killed that day. You know, shot at indirectly, watching the Afghans beat each other up or ride around with 4 or 5 guys on one motorcycle looking stupid, like just, or, our guys getting chased by cows, or it's nothing to do, bro. There's nothing to do
Did you
but
have
get
any good?
closer.
Did you have any good experiences with like the culture, the people while you were over there?
Hey, for people watching, understand that there's good people everywhere, right?
Hmm.
But it's a third world country. They
Hmm.
have nothing. They know nothing.
Were
They
you
know abs.
primarily rurally, or was it more
Yeah.
like urban?
Oh no, I'm up, and so it's Khost, Khost province up in northeast Afghanistan. It's near the border of Pakistan.
Hmm.
It's open land, mountains. So southern Afghanistan is more close, what we call close quarters. Structures a little bit more. It's not new, but they have more homes that are closer together, or buildings anyway.
Hmm.
Northern Afghanistan especially is very spread out. Like
Hmm.
our ROE, rules of engagement, don't even allow us to, well, they didn't then, they didn't even allow us to shoot back at something unless we
Hmm.
positively knew where they shot from. That's how open it was. But positive experience, I mean, the kids are fun. Well, the kids are fun unless they have a grenade in their hand. And I say that being serious because they've thrown some at us. They've been paid to do so, unfortunately. But the kids are fun. The people are good too. When we go and do patrol and just kind of get a pulse of the city or the towns rather, the ones that have good hearts and good intentions, they'll let us know. We'll talk to them. Now we're talking with the our Terps and whatnot. But they're good. They're just there, they say, Mister, can I get a pen? Can I get a pen? Or some of them will say they're from the United States of America. I had one guy on our Terp would say he's from Texas. I'm like, bro, you never been to Texas at all. So they want to be good, but they're in a government that doesn't allow them to really speak for themselves. So that's the unfortunate part. It
Hmm.
makes you actually appreciate being back home because they have what's called, maybe it's changed now, they have what was called Roshan Tower. That's their cell phone tower. At 5 p.m., that tower is shut off, which means they can't do anything. So they have nothing to do after that. They don't have TVs. Like we go into their homes, there's no TVs in the home. They literally just like throw rocks or sit outside all day. There's nothing to do,
Hmm.
nothing to do. And it's like, man, you get to sit here and just watch these folks realize that they have nothing. They have their food, their livestock, and they have dust and rocks.
Hmm.
I'm not exaggerating, bro. It's not a lot to do there.
That's tough. It's a different world. World I do not know for sure.
Mhm.
So when you got back from service, is that when you got more serious into bodybuilding and training then?
Man, training, I've been training I've been in just since I was 13. So I've been training,
Right.
like that's been a part of me.
Hmm.
Bodybuilding is always funny because bodybuilding from the hood. And I like to say this because people are like, what the? I laugh when I see some bodybuilders say that this was their dream. Because I'm like, someone like, y'all full of shit. Because I see them like, that's not a dream of yours in high school as a kid. So growing up, I told you my dream was get out of the hood, football, right? So I played football, basketball, baseball, and track.
Eh,
When I saw magazines, I thought it was fake. I'm like, that's not real. You can't. Like I was all the anti-steroids. Like I was, like, this not real, bro. You cheating. Like those are mine. Like we don't know. So bodybuilding came about because when I got back from deployment, I was about to go to Ranger School, and I had a lieutenant who wanted to be so high and mighty, and I was I was a sergeant at the time, and he, we don't want to be insubordinate, and I'm trying to be respectful of him in front of our soldiers, but he's brand new to the Army and brand new to our unit, and I'm like, look, I'm not about to get this checked out because if I do, they're going to like start my paperwork to get me out. He's like, no, they won't. I'm like, I promise you, I've already been through this. So he's like, well, get it done. I'm like, dude, let me finish Ranger School, and I'll then go and take care of this, on the hush, so that way it doesn't block me from any kind of promotions, whatnot. But he was adamant about writing me up if I didn't get taken care of it. So I said, anything that goes wrong with this, it's on you. Sure enough, I go to the doctor. Same doctor. She didn't say nothing, but you're not stopping it this time. That was it. So I called him, say, hey, listen to this. And she said it again. And I was like, that's when my career changed. So, and that's where bodybuilding came about. So now I'm like, well, they flagged me for doing recruitment. They said I couldn't be a drill sergeant because I had PTSD. So I'm like, that's stupid. That's my job. I'm supposed to have weapons around, and I couldn't be a chief warrant officer. They were like, they were, as during the Obama administration, they wanted to cut numbers, so I couldn't fight much at all. So I was like, well, I'm gonna put my full time into training, probably go to school, or use my degree at this time, to go into, exercise science, whatever. I'm like, we'll try that. And I had another staff sergeant who was, hey man, he kept, telling me for like a few months, hey man, you need to do these shows that my wife's doing. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, he kept adamant. I'm like, bro, leave me alone. So I was training some clients. I was still doing my retirement wasn't quite done yet, so I still had time to do like a civilian job. So let me go and start working inside of gyms now because I used to train people on posts. But I was able to go work in the gym. So I went to LA Fitness, a few miles away from the base, and one day this promoter, Brent Jones, comes to the gym because someone told him to come see me. Someone told him, hey man, this young kid, he's got a nice six pack. Like, I'm like, bro, so I'm getting ready to go to NFL Combine at this time. And I'm at LA Fitness getting done with a client. And this I just got the front waiting for you. This little short, chubby guy, Brent Jones, Kentucky. He's like, hey man, I'm Brent Jones, promoter, Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Muscle. And someone told me that you have, that you have potential for great job on stage. I was like, bro, what? I was like, I got NFL Combine. And he said, well, just do the combine and do my show afterwards. He said, I promise you, you'll place. He's like, just do physique, get some shorts and get a tan. I said, a tan? I said, bro, I'm black. I don't need a tan. I was like, what are we talking about? So I do the NFL Combine. I grab some board shorts from like Walmart, these big ass like shorts, bro. And I get a posing coach, like his name was Sasha Team, something like that in Kentucky. I'm like doing some posing, bro. It was so bad. I do collegiate men's physique and I did novice men's physique. And I'm
Mhm.
backstage and they're like, I went to a tanning room for a tanning bed. Like I didn't even do a spray tan, bro. I didn't know anything. So they're doing my glow backstage and they're like putting the glow and there's like, man, you got these huge, these are the women. They're like, you got these huge traps. Like, why aren't you doing bodybuilding? I said, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I said, I'm just here. I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just signed up. So I did got first in men's physique and collegiate, got third in novice, and I was like, man, this is boring. I was like, I didn't even do nothing on stage but turn around. Like men's physique, it's trash. Like there's no pose in there. Man, these huge shorts on, like this is stupid. I'm like 155, like and some huge beach shorts, bro. It was terrible. So I said, man, I'm gonna do bodybuilding next time. And he had a show in the fall. So I did Kentucky Derby in the spring, April, and I did his show in the fall, Kentucky Muscle. And so when I did that, I said, I'm gonna do bodybuilding. And I was like, I'm not gonna do no coaching yet. I know training. I already got my certification. I know nutrition. I know the workout. I'm gonna do my own thing. And I got third and open and like lightweight, I think. And I was like, man, I did third without even trying. I was like, this was easy. Like, what if I actually try and actually do it off season, learn the nuances? So I moved back to Ohio after my retirement started. So now this is 2014, late 2014, going into 2015. I do the Cincinnati Natural. I'm like, still, it's an NPC show. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of did a little bit of off season, do the Cincinnati Natural show. Cool. And I did,
Yeah.
came in, I think, welterweight or lightweight. And decent. I don't know. And I'm not big as hell. I'm just ripped. All I know is like, look, be muscular. So I'm gonna be lean as hell. I'm like eating salads and all kind of like popping fat burners. I was coaching football, so I'm doing a whole lot of running outside with my athletes. I'm putting pads on, say like 22 years old, tackling these guys all in all. Like it was crazy. Training clients at LA Fitness in Ohio, like 140 sessions every 2 pay periods. Like it was crazy, bro. Like I was like lean as hell, crazy. So I do that, and I win my class. I'm like, cool, bet. So I do overall, I lose to a heavyweight guy, another black guy. It's like, damn, I lost. So everybody, so I'm in like bodybuilding groups on Facebook. They're like, "Hey man, they said I said I wasn't natural." I'm like, "I don't know what." They was like, "What's the half life of your gear?" I said, "What is half life?" I said, "What does that even mean?" I said, "I have no idea." They're like, "You're lying." I was like, "Bro, I don't know what that means at all. Like, I'm just, I'm just here, bro." So I was mad. I lost the show in my mind. I didn't win the overall. So I'm like, forget the first place. I didn't win overall. So they was like, go to nationals, you'll turn pro. I was like, I'm not going there. I'm not going to try to turn pro. I don't know what that means. I said, until I want to win this damn show. So I was like, I'm gonna do it again. So I did the fall show. I said, I'm gonna do the fall show. I'm gonna win. So I did the Cincinnati Natural fall show. It's called Monster Mash, something like that, right? Well, at the time, during the middle of this prep, so what happened at the first show, I'm getting off stage and she's like, expert, she's like, hey man, everything looks good. Like you just need some bigger hamstrings and bigger back. I kid you not, bro. Still natural. I said, all right, that I know training, I know food. Here's what I'm gonna do. I spent 6 weeks straight, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just doing back and legs only, nothing else. 6 weeks.
Mhm.
I put 2 inches on my body, bro, in almost 2 months. And I was like, go cool. So I was like, I'm gonna do this show in the fall. Back, did bodybuilding. So during the tail end of this prep, one of my cousins who got out of jail, I just saw him again. He died he got shot the following day. Fresh out of jail. We just chopped it up, played some card games. He had a baby. He got shot the following day. I was pissed. My wife's dad died. So we drove to Tennessee from Ohio a week out from the show at 2 funerals. And I was like, man, the hell with this show. I'm not doing this show. And then everybody's like, nah, man, your cousin would love you do it. I'm like, he don't even know me doing bodybuilding. It ain't got nothing to do with him. But it's like, do the show. So we driving back. So at my wife's, her dad's hospital, I'm eating Five Guys and all kind of stuff. I'm like, bro, the hell with all this. Like, the show's over. So as I'm driving back, so I'm gonna do the show. So I get some fat burners. I pop the fat burners, hit the cardio hard. I love posing. So when I first did bodybuilding, I started doing posing with Leland DeVaughn, like just in my living room on big screen TV, just learning how to do so. So my military footwork and watching him is how I did my posing. I was like, I don't need no posing coach. I got footwork from my army time and I can dance. Like I'm good. Like I don't know, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not hiring nobody. So I feel like if I like this, right? So I did the show still amidst all the adversity. And I was laughing because at the athletes meeting, the MC was like, all right, guys, most of y'all will never win a show, let alone your class. I literally laughed out loud, like big ass auditory, but I laughed out loud. Like, why are you laughing? I said, because I just won my class at the show in the earlier this year. So like I've already done what he said outside of winning the show. So for my routine, I had two masks. I had a mask on the front of my face and a mask on the back of my face. It was a great routine. At the time, it looks like trash now compared to what I do now. It's like garbage probably. But I did the routine, man, and it was dope. I won overall as a welterweight of that show. I came back and did what I said I was going to do. And then I had all these
Nice.
guys trying to be my coach. I'll be your coach. I'll coach you. I'll coach you. I'll coach you. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, man, look, if you do this stack and this stack, you'll be. I'm like, I'm talking to my wife first. And I was like, all right, let's pull the trigger. Like, hey, babe, this was going to be health wise, blah, blah. Bro, first cycle, 40 pounds. For 6 weeks, 40 pounds up. Was
Mhm.
huge. But that's how I springboarded into bodybuilding that way. I finally got a coach after coaching myself for 4 shows, and overall got with another coach, another first place with Dan Saxton. Then we won middleweight at Europa in Charlotte.
Mhm.
He prepped me for nationals and he dropped the ball because he didn't tell me, hey, if you're driving down, we need to be ahead of schedule weight wise because that's going to change your weight. I didn't know. So I go into national. I'm about to turn pro this year. I'm going to be on point. I was good. I was like, we're going to make waves of middleweight, top of the class, good to go. Nobody stopping me. Came in at 184, which is the bottom of light heavyweight.
Mhm.
So now I'm like one of the smallest light heavyweights in a class of 36 light heavyweights at nationals. We had a 10-man first call out, bro. That's how good the show was and big it was. And then the light blew up over our head. It busted because it was so hot. But I got first call out in a class I wasn't supposed to be in. And I was like, kind of like, damn, bro, you dropped the ball. Like, I'm supposed to be middleweight. You didn't get me right. Like, I trusted you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I wanted to turn pro this year. And like, so we didn't turn pro. And I gave him another chance. And we did USA's. So then USA's, he over dieted me. So then my legs withered away.
Mhm.
So then I got top call out, but I'm standing next to the stage with Derek Lunsford won overall that year from light heavy. I'm a middleweight.
Mhm.
And I was like, damn, I'm peeled. But then Sean Ray was like, his feedback on the thing was like, well, this guy's good, but he has no abs. I was like, bro, what? My abs are good. So I was like, fuck Sean Ray. Like, I didn't know who this dude was. I don't bodybuilding loyalty to me. I was like, I don't care. So, but so I didn't care, bro. Like, who is the one guy you need to respect him? I said, respect him for
Yeah, I'll
what? I don't
say
know who
it
this
too.
dude
Fuck
is.
Sean Ray. Yeah, I say the same thing.
Yeah, bro. So I'm like, whatever, bro. But I was done with bodybuilding. I was done, bro. I was like, I didn't turn pro both times. I don't want to do this no more. It's stupid. I wasted money. Like, I'm done. I messaged Blue. I saw Blue Taylor. He's a great. That's my coach until I retired this year.
Oh,
A
nice.
wonderful guy, man. Great person. Great coach.
Hmm.
Amazing coach. I saw his clients, man. I'm like, dude, I have everything. My legs are even good as well too, but they're just something's off. And all of his clients have freaky legs.
Hmm.
And I messaged him, and he was like, "Hey man, I saw you at USA's." I was like, "Yeah, that was me." He was like, "You looked amazing." He's like, "Are you competing?" I said, "No, I'm done." I said, "I'm about to watch Super Bowl in a few weeks. I'm gonna eat some pizza. I'm done." I was like, "I'm done." So he's like, "No, man." He said, "Like with the right coach, you'll turn pro. Like let's work together." You like, and I was like, "Nah, man." He's like, "No, like I promise you, you'll turn pro." I was like, "Okay."
Hmm.
So sure enough, 2017, I lock in with him after USA's, the beginning of 2018. Food plan was crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like food was crazy. And then he was like, "You doing legs every session of the week. Like 2 primary leg days, 3 at one point, and then legs on each day as well at the end of it." Right?
Really?
Crazy, bro. Crazy. Now, me, with my knowledge, I already know how to train anyway. But I said, I'm gonna step back and let this dude handle the training a little bit. And it was like 7 sets of this, 7 of that, like just blasting volume, volume, volume. And the food was high as hell. So like, okay, we're gonna do USA. So then I moved to Georgia. And after a while, I'm like putting the food down. I'm like, man, but I'm burning. I'm like, bro, I'm still hungry. I'm not really blowing up. Come to find out, bro, I became a metabolic technician. And and when I was running my own numbers, bro, my RMR was at 3,500 calories just alone. I was consuming about 45, but I was running a 3-story gym. My RMR at 35. I'm consuming about 4,500 plus training. Like I'm burning way more. I'm supposed to be in a surplus. So I was like, hey, bro, this is my numbers. Like I know this ain't your thing, but here's what I'm like just burning in total. So we upped the food to like a
Hmm.
refeed every other day. And then on leg days, my calories are go 1.5 increase.
Hmm.
So like putting down food, bro. So then I was like, hey man, I'm not gonna be able to make like USA with this timeline 'cause I'm still getting adjusted to this gym. So then we skip off USA, say, okay, let's do a warm-up prep together. Let's do Lee Haney ahead of nationals. Let's not do USA's, let's do nationals end of the year. So I was like, best. So we put some more size on. Bro, I got like 208, like 9% body fat in the off season. 20 minutes of cardio a day. I trusted him enough to do GH, and this. I was like, I trust you, so I'm gonna do this because if I gotta call you if I'm about to die, like I need to need you to be on the phone. Like I don't know nothing about no insulin, I don't know none of this stuff, right? So,
Hmm.
um, I was, bro. I was like, I'm chat, bro. I was rowing 405, front squat 315. Like my Sundays was glutes only, 10 sets of 10 plus hip thrust. Like I was on it, man. I was like, I'm going to turn pro, and I'm gonna trust this guy. So we did Lee Haney. On the way Lee Haney, I cut my eye on my Camaro car door because I was late. Left my trunks at home, had to turn around. I get to the show late. My food I had ready was late. I get a message, hey man, you guys about to go on stage. I said, what you mean on stage? Like, isn't the show like bro, I'm a light heavyweight. You know, it's like, well, nah, the show's light. So I like, give me some Skittles. So I pop some Skittles, do some resistance band movement. I get a pump. I go on stage. In my photos, bro, I did a video about this. I'm like, my eyes are closed, nonchalant. I'm like, bro, this show is easy. Like my coach called me at middle of the show. He was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Bro, I'm gonna win this overall." I said, "Ain't nobody gonna beat me at this show." And I went overall with the nationals because they was like, "Hey, man, if I said they do feedback after the show, right?" So the judges
Hmm.
were gonna be at nationals. They were like, "Hey, you need to be about a few pounds lighter. And you need to make sure your beard is lined up if you want to turn pro." I said, "Well, I'll be a middleweight at nationals." They was like, "Oh, well, in that case, just smile and you'll turn pro." That's it. That's
That's
it.
awesome.
So that's all I did. I just smiled and I smiled and no one picked me to turn pro. They picked kid name was Austin Morrell and somebody else.
Yeah.
And only Boston Lloyd and my coach and a few other guys inside of those cohorts knew that I was like, they knew like I had it. They knew like this dude was gonna be there. So the day of the show, me and my guy Merk just won Chicago 212 last year. He's another veteran as well too. He and I, at the end of call outs were like right there dead center. Well, these goofy asses were like, after prejudging, were like talking to each other. Hey, man, I think I turned. I think I was at this spot. I think I at this spot. And here's me. I was like, hey, I said, hey, I didn't move. I see y'all tomorrow. So tomorrow came.
Nice.
Me and Merck turned pro. I was like, I told y'all. Like y'all doubted me. Like I told y'all I was gonna be here. Like I'm the black horse. So, and that's what got me. That pushed me in even my pro career because I'm like, I'm gonna bring shape, genetics, and you're not gonna outwork me.
You got a crazy story, man. Like you got a crazy drive, crazy story. I love it. I love it. So you got your pro card, you went to service. When did you really jump in like full fledged with coaching? When did you think this was going to be, your main focus? This was going to be your business that you'd pursue?
Well, going back to that same conviction, that reason why I got started, it never left me. So throughout my time, even when I went to college football, I was still training clients. When I
Mm-hmm.
went into service, I was still training clients on posts. People,
Mm-hmm.
guys, their wives, even the husbands. And then after combat, when I was about to, okay, let me try to, go to Ranger school. When that went to bed, I was like, well, now I got to just start being a trainer until I kind of figure out like what I want to do on that side of it. So I was putting in 140 sessions every 2 weeks at LA Fitness, bro, grinding it out, grinding it out. And then I
Mm-hmm.
became a high school football coach as well at my alma mater. So I'm like coaching, sports and all, right? And I just stuck with it. I knew when someone offered me back home in Cincinnati and asked me this stupid question, this is why I love my black people. So, hey, do you take food stamps for your services? I looked at her and about laughed at her. I said, don't take no damn food stamps for like, you can't pay me in food stamps. Like, it's not going to pay my bills. But that's when I knew I had to leave Ohio too. I was like, I can't stay here long. And the plan wasn't to stay long anyway. So then I moved up into management, moved to North Carolina, was working at Gold's Gym there. I was getting good at sales then, so now I was able to sell at Gold's Gym as well as train clients. Had clients winning the gym transformation challenges, about winning them thousands of dollars with my work. So then I moved to Georgia with Lifetime. I became a TDM there. So now I'm over like 30 something trainers, as well as my own clients, working with pro athletes, Dwight Howard, Al Jefferson, played in pro and with some NBA players, had some of the Falcons players there, had all kind of other high school, college players that I'm working with, as well as the general population. So it just kept bringing me back to what I was already doing. And I'm like, if I can navigate this and I'm able to, make this much money impact mostly, like I'm gonna keep doing this thing even alongside of, cause I was a teacher too. Like I was a teacher for a year here in Texas. Like I was in the classroom teaching as well. So I've done some things and I've always trained. So I've done other things and I've always trained, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of a prep, middle of one of my pro preps, I was working a corporate job and I was like, you know, I said, I'm gonna put in I'm gonna leave in August. This was like late May. So I'm gonna leave in August. I'm gonna go full fledged and get my business 100%. I'm tired of doing it partially. I'm at Destination. I'm already sponsored by Gas from Better Bodies and Destination. I already have a gym I can train at. I had to build myself up here, but I can do it, right? So I'm gonna get my business and see what it gives me if I get it 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said I'm gonna leave in August. I left the following week. 1 week out from a show, I quit my other job. I was like, I don't need no safety. I'm quitting this job. I'll be good to go. And I just started marketing. Started marketing here. Got clients. I'll tell you what really drove me. I was like, dang, how am I gonna do this? And I was at the getting some food on a Sunday. And I get him the card for some Whataburger, and she's like, "This card don't. There's no money." I was like, "This don't work." I'm like, "Hold on." So I'm like, "Help me get this other card." So the other card worked. I'm like, "But wait, why ain't no money on the account, bro?" I didn't know, and I would just be blowing money. And I was like, "No, this can't be true." So I started having my damn black book, and I started writing down my business goals based on how we did things in service, logistically, reverse engineer. I need to make this amount of much money to do this, this, and this. I need to do X, Y, and Z to get this right. And then I put that same process on my lifetime
Mm-hmm.
skills and management when I was there too. And I started learning how to just get on phones and making calls. So my first clients here just learned just doing that because I was like, yo, I can't be broke. Like, there's no way I'm broke. What the hell happened? Like, I'm just blowing money. So that really made me realize how much work I needed to do and then revert back to what I knew in my time at service and my time at, inside of the big boxes. And I gave my business 100%. And I went from, there to charging 200-300 a month for 2-3 times a week to I don't even do once a week, and you got to roughly pay about 600 something average to get my time. From there to now charging 3, 4, 6, 7K for some folks online or in person. But that's when I knew like this is what I do because I can't. Corporate ain't me. I'm a disruptor. I go to places and they need me there to like break systems up and then create new systems, and then my time is gone. I did it in 3 different gyms. Every gym that I was a manager at, I came in and broke records, fixed the system, and I leave. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not suited. That's why consulting is good for me. I'm not there. I can't sit. You can't keep me to a certain salary or a clock because I have my ways and I also don't. So, it made it easy for me to continue to stay doing this at year 18, but I'm also on my way out of this too because I've been doing this for so long as well. So it's a bit of both. It's like, it's time to move forward, which is why ECA is a good part of it. Um, But, that's what I really, made me realize, hey, look, this is something you're gonna do forever until you can't no more. And then my therapist was like, hey man, you can't coach forever. You got to figure out something else to do. And he's right. And then, 2024 and 25, it became more real. Like, yeah, this got to be done. Maybe a facility, but nonetheless, I can't be the one doing all this anymore because I'm I'm tired. I've done the one-to-one. I've done having clients come and see me 3, 4 times a week. I'm done. It's exhausting. I love what I do, which is why online is easy.
Yeah, and it opens you up. You can provide more quality, more value to a larger group of people as well, right?
Mm.
What are some values that you really hold near and dear to your heart inside, well, yourself, your family, your coaching?
Yeah, good question, man. So be on purpose, on purpose. That's first and foremost. You have to be on purpose. Outside of my faith, first and foremost, but being on purpose, on purpose. If you're not on purpose, you're gonna get missed.
Mhm.
So you have to know introspectively, what do I need to work on? What do I not like about myself? So that way I'm fixing that. So that way, whatever is coming out of me, something that I like. So that way in business, my non-negotiables in my business are the same I hold myself to. So it's adherence, accountability, transparency, and honesty.
Mhm.
Right. So if a client can't do those things, I can't work with them. If I can't do those things, I'm not a good coach. I'm not a good leader. I'm not a good father. So I have to rep those same things because at the end of the day, if I'm sick, if I slip up, there's the business, there's my identity, there's people think of me. So, and a lot of that has shifted once I got baptized in 2024, but it's still a lot of that's rooted in my faith. It's like, how do I intertwine those things? How do I not forget who I am, but also remember who I'm going to be? All right. So the same grit. So my podcast itself is called Grit and Grace Unfiltered because all of the grit we talked about at the beginning of this about the upbringing and all that. But the same grace I was given to not get the full 5-year sentence, to still be alive, to defeat the odds even in service. I almost died Labor Day 2011 in combat. Like I was surefire supposed to be dead that day. The guy just couldn't shoot worth the damn, kept missing me. Just kept missing. Um, but all those things tie into why I move with intent, but why I'm also so calm because I've already seen literally death enough times to know that life is too short, that we shouldn't rush, but we shouldn't be so complacent that we're not pursuing happiness and value in our life and then giving it to others. So I like to be able to have my when I interact with people, like even in this pod, my desire is always that whomever I'm coming contact with, able to leave with something. I'm able to leave something from them too as well to improve myself, but that I've done enough work that my clients can go do it on their own without me at some point when we break away. If I'm not able to do that, I'm not being a good teacher. So
Mhm.
like those things are what I keep myself. Same thing with my son. If I'm not teaching him enough, when he goes into the real world,
Mhm.
that's you want to measure me by my son. If he's not a great representation, then I've done something wrong. You want to
Mhm.
measure me by my business. If it's not representation of me, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think I definitely will leave here with lots of wisdom from you, lots to think about for sure. I wanted to get into some controversial topics in the health and fitness space, but I
Yeah,
know we're a
we got a
little
little bit.
short for I know we're a little short for time, so I'll leave that for another episode. We'll run another episode up here in the near future, but
Yeah.
it was absolutely amazing to hear your story, Leyland. Pretty crazy. Really, like, man, you have an incredible story from what you've come from to where you're at now. I mean, if that's not inspiring, I don't know what is. So I just want to leave it at that. If the people are looking for you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on all social media platforms with my name. The handle will say coached by Kyrie. That's Kahri. But if you search my name, it'll always pop up as that's always going to be in my bio. Leland DeVaughn or Leland DeVaughn Jr. My long form content is on YouTube. My podcast on there is Grit and Grace Unfiltered. But on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, it's coached by Kyrie or my name.
And where can they find your book that you have?
So my book, I'm working my second one now. So I'm starting this year finally. My first book is on Amazon. Again, that is Growing Up Black, A Fight Against Culture in the World. You have to type my name into it because it might not pop up if that general population. So Growing Up Black, A Fight Against Culture in the World on Amazon.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to order it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Leyland. I appreciate your time today. I hope everyone really enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.